The last thing I want to do in this video is undermine the innovation that has taken place during this generation of consoles. I only want to highlight just how much ahead of its time the previous consoles were in comparison to the PlayStation 5, and the different aspects of the PS5 that I consider a step backwards. Cause trust me, it's a lot. This video will cover the many issues I have with this current generation of consoles and gaming in general. I'll more so be speaking on PlayStation as that's what I'm more familiar with, but I'm sure some aspects of Xbox do ring true with these complaints. The PlayStation 5 has been out for just about 5 years, and you can honestly argue that it wasn't even available for another 1.5 to 2 years to the general public that couldn't or didn't want to cough up extra money for it in resale or try to land a just frame input online for whenever they came back in stock for like 3 seconds. If you were there, you know I'm not exaggerating. And even if you were one of the lucky ones who had a PS5 relatively early on, whether you were sent one, bought one online, or found one in stores, or found somebody walking out of a store with them and jumped them, you would then quickly realize two things. Damn, this console big as fuck, and damn, this shit don't got no games. But hold on, that's not one of my critiques, because I know what you're thinking. Obviously, the PlayStation 5 is not going to have many games when it first releases. That's how it was with the PS4, and I'm sure the 3 as well. They have that in common. But for this video, I want to highlight the things that this generation does objectively worse in my opinion. Before we get into these topics, I'd like to very quickly talk to you guys about the sponsor of today's video, War Thunder. War Thunder is the most competitive vehicle combat game ever made and is available for PC, console, and mobile devices for those looking to game on the go. War Thunder lets you pilot over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships of over 10 major nations. Immerse yourself in the fascinatingly detailed vehicles, jaw-dropping graphics, and authentic sound effects that put you right in the driver's seat of the most powerful war machines mankind has ever created. Join a worldwide community of over nearly 100 million players in the most addicting PvP battles and dive into the one-of-a-kind experience that is War Thunder. Between the wealth of high-quality vehicles and the unmatched PvP combat, there is no better game suited for fans of military history. Be sure to check out War Thunder now using the first links in my description or the pinned comment. New and returning players on PC and consoles that haven't played in 6 months will also receive a bonus pack, including premium vehicles and 7 days of premium account. It is only available for a limited time, so don't miss your chance. And thank you to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. First, I want to talk about the new full price points of games, of which I don't agree nor disagree with. The $70 price point is a bit much for me personally. I've only ever bought one game at $70, which was Tekken, and looking at my hours, I think I got my money's worth. However, I don't think it's a steep price for some games. Red Dead Redemption 2? It's almost 2026, and it's such a good game. Such a good game that it should still be full price. Red Dead Redemption dropped 7 years ago, and it looks like it comes out next month. It's a very tumultuous feeling seeing games like Batman Arkham Knight and games of that caliber at such a cheap price, like $15 or $20, because on one hand, I want as many people as possible to experience these games, but also, for how good of a game they are, the price points are crazy, dude. Like, there are a lot of games. I have no quarrel with spending $70 on, I don't even use that word, nigga. It's that serious for me. My problem is these other games that I can't believe they priced at $70. What's crazy to me is that a game like Ghost of Yotei and 2K gonna be the same price. Blood thought he was on the team. I don't know what's worse. The fact that they're pricing the yearly Call of Duty and 2Ks at $70, or the fact that they could price the next 2K at $100, and niggas will still line up to be the first in my park to drop yet another $100 to get a 99 overall. And this is gonna be my next point for games. The concept of DLC and microtransactions have never bothered me, but the amount of games that are now constantly trying to sell you shit past a $70 price point is just wild, bro. Most full price games will have their microtransactions be completely optional in a way where you'll never have to touch them unless you want to. I don't know if 2K is still like this because the last one I played was a while back, but it was damn near impossible to get enough VC to buy a single pair of shoes. I was broke and ass at that game, bro. I know it wasn't my fault because their price points are insane. With free-to-play games, these kinds of DLC is to be expected, so it's whatever. My main issue with free-to-play games, though, is also prevalent in full-price games, and that is not the Battle Pass. I think the concept of Battle Passes are really cool. What I hate about passes is that every single instance in every game makes it so that if you don't get the pass within that time frame, you will never get the chance to get anything on it again. I hate that shit with every fiber of my being because every game does it, and none of the games have at the very least player-to-player trading. I'm looking dead at you. I don't even gotta say your name. Anyways, enough about games that are constantly trying to sell you something. This generation of gaming is home to the most shameless remasters ever. I could not believe my eyes when they dropped a remaster for The Last of Us 2, a 5-year-old game that already looked better than real life. Nigga, you ain't do shit but step back. How was this even allowed? It's so many unnecessary remasters, bro. Until Dawn, Horizon Zero Dawn, The Last of Us Dawn. It's not actually called that. It's like it was just like a play on words because you know the first two had the word. It wouldn't be as much of a problem if they were remastering the right games. I'm looking dead at you, Naughty Dog. Y'all love remastering The Last of Us, but treat Jak and Daxter like they're in the last place of Us 2.
Man, what the fuck is you talking about?
I'm sorry. It feels like all the wrong games get a remaster. Nobody wants games that already look amazing and can be played on both platforms remastered. Nobody wants games still in stores and easily accessible remastered. Where's the games that they take off the stores that you have to go out of your way to buy, that you have to go out of your way to emulate? It don't even gotta be remasters, just ports, like a Tekken 5 or a Tekken 6 port. For some reason, they only have the PSP port for Tekken 6. Get that thing off the road, bro. This is a PlayStation issue only. As far as I'm aware, Xbox has been really good with ports and backwards compatibility. The lack of playable games from PS3 that still aren't playable on the 4 or 5 is extremely frustrating. Streaming is cool, but it's not the same thing at all to me. I want to buy a game and own it, please. Familiarity in media has never been more rewarding than in today's market. It's never been more marketable, and it's never been more risky/expensive to introduce a new IP because people just aren't as inclined to invest in something new. It's something you don't just see in games. That's why so many cartoons have and get so many revivals like Gumball and Adventure Time. It's why so many IPs that haven't done anything since like the 90s or 2000s suddenly come back. It's why you see so many things have like the most unnecessary sequels. I loved Squid Game, but it being on a 3rd season is crazy. But the reality is people like what they know. This is not news. This is exactly where remasters and remakes and ports come in. There are so many games that Sony, for example, could remaster or at least port from the PS3. But the games that are chosen to get this treatment is so annoying. People like what they know. We need more remasters like Resident Evils and the Crash Bandicoots and Spyro and shit. This brings me to my next point. The amount of classic games the PS3 has needs to be discussed, bro. GTA 5, The Last of Us, Black Flag, Batman Arkham Origins, Gran Turismo 6, BioShock Infinite, Tomb Raider, Beyond Two Souls. All of these games were in 2013 alone. Batman Arkham City, LA Noire, Skyrim, Uncharted 3, Battlefield 3, Dead Space 2, Portal 2, Infamous 2, Little Big Planet 2, Cars 2, Burger Time World Tour, all in the same year. The only other time we was getting lineups like this was in the PS4 era, 2015, 2018. To be extremely fair, you have to factor in just how much of a hit every game took in its production due to COVID. It does make this very difficult to compare, but the fact of the matter is the sparseness of video games for the PS5, not the PS4 and the PS5, but video games for the PS5, That is a very important distinction, by the way. The sparseness of video games for the PS5 is very depressing, especially considering the fact that the PS5 won't even get to have this many classics anyway, because the majority of games people are playing are online live service games. Games that if they are not an outlier like Fortnite or Apex or Rocket League, Overwatch, Marvel Rivals, if they're not an outlier like those games, they will probably shut down in like a couple months or a year or maybe 2 years. That's on top of the already lack of games we have on the PlayStation 5. One last very quick point. What is with the surge of AI games on the PS Store? Why is this allowed? $600 sounds awesome. Until you realize any regular AAA game is easily hitting 100 to 170 gigabytes. The fact that the base PS5 only has a little over 100 more of storage than the base PS4 is pretty nasty. But in my opinion, the PS4 was objectively better because it housed your library of then modern day games much more comfortably, back when the average was like 30 to 60 gigabytes. However, during the last half of the PS4 cycle, it became more and more normal for games to start hitting like 70, 80, 90 gigabytes. So the base PS4 did suffer a bit there. The PS4 Pro, however, solved the issue by almost doubling the storage. So there is that also. I know the PS4 uses a hard drive disk and the PS5 uses a solid state disk. I think that's what it's called, which contributes to the lack of gigabyte space. I don't know the full details here, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I'm going off of. If this truly is the case, that unfortunately does not take away from the fact that it completely shits on your experience on a PS5. The only saving grace is that you can add extra space yourself with an external USB or by installing an SSD. It's more about the principle to me because you have to add extra storage or else you spend almost as much time deleting and reinstalling games as you do actually playing the games. On top of the $500 I paid for the console, I gotta pay for the PlayStation Plus, $70 for the games, $70 for the controller, and now I only have like 4 games downloaded. There's no more space, so I gotta drop another $80 for a terabyte hard drive. I feel like it's so normalized for the base product of something to be so dog shit. And people go, dude, you just gotta get the premium version. Nah, dude, it's not. You just gotta get the premium version. Maybe it's too much nowadays to want a base version of something to be usable in a way similar to like 10, 15, 20 years ago, where the goal was to offer the best technology experience that it could at the time, and not to offer the best experience while paywalling features that were previously free and a part of the base product. This doesn't fully apply here, but my point is 600 gigabytes is literally laughable with these modern day games. This is nearly not as much of an issue as my other points, but it's still worth discussing because how is it that we've basically only just been able to change the background theme? Except it only changes the welcome section of the menu. Don't nobody be on there. And even then, it's only custom screenshots and like a couple wallpapers that, whether you like or not, me personally, I don't care for any of these, but I love Ratchet & Clank. Whether you like it or not, it's a complete downgrade to what you were offered in both previous PlayStations. Some people are gonna bring up the argument that, oh, but every game comes with their own theme, so it kind of makes up for it. Not only did the PS4 have this feature, the PlayStation 3 also had this feature. They just did it better. They did it in a way where in one, you have to hover over the game for the theme to show, or you have to press down on the game to activate its theme. Otherwise, it would go back to the main theme that you have set on the PlayStation. In other words, objectively better design. For some reason, they decided to opt for prioritizing each game's theme instead of being able to set a universal theme, when this has been the case and has been working perfectly fine for the last 2 systems. This does not take much away from my experience playing on the PS5, but again, that doesn't mean it isn't bad design worth questioning and criticizing, especially if they pulled it off very well before. I will say though, I think the anniversary themes are really cool. For the anniversary of PlayStation, they introduced 4 themes that serve as an homage for the previous PlayStation themes. It also had the PS1 startup sequence for whenever you turned on the console. I think it would be cool to bring this back and add on it so that you can have a PlayStation 2 inspired startup sequence or 3 or 4. The PS4 sounds like a Boeing 77 when it runs modern games, but it's honestly the undeniable MVP between all of the PlayStations. People are going to say they prefer the PS2 or the 3. Nothing wrong with that. I prefer the 3 to all of them, I think. But I also think objectively, the PS4 is the best era with the best run. 1. The PS4 has the power to run the games of PS1, 2, 3, in addition to remasters and remakes here and there, while also having the power to run newer gen games that also release on the PS5. 2. Best UI design just off of the strength of its customizability and wide selections of themes. Number 3. It was the era before games became $70 full price. 4. It had a much better balance of games that are constantly trying to sell you shit versus games that are quite literally just an elite experience that the PS1 through 3 could not replicate. Maybe even a $20 standalone DLC for another elite experience. And number 5, it was by far the era with the most games that still look, feel, and play like a current gen release, despite them being 8, 10, 11 years old. The only thing that the PS4 does objectively worse than all the other consoles is PlayStation Plus. The PS3's version of PlayStation Plus offered many discounts here and there, cloud saving, and some other like really small features. The online was completely free. The PS5 version makes you pay for online, but they offer a large catalog of fantastic games, free and with discounts, making it the best iteration of PlayStation Plus in my personal opinion. My videos are never with intention to hate, despite how harsh my words may be. I'm forever a PlayStation fanboy, and I just want it to be the best it can be. It just feels like 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. Literally. You didn't do shit but step back. One last time, I'd like to thank War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Be sure to check out War Thunder for free on PC, console, or mobile, using my links in the description or pinned comments. Those who've not played in at least 6 months will receive a massive bonus pack on PC and consoles, including in-game currency, premium vehicles, and more. Aside from that, that is all for today's video. Thank you all for watching, and see you next time.